young men.
Anything surprised you so far about them?
No, sir. You know, we're just in day 2, so there's going to be things that probably come down the road that we'll take a look at and be more critical of, but nothing surprising, so to speak.
So far, Justin's taken the first reps in the team that we've seen. What should people read into that, if anything?
You know, we're going to mix the reps up. All the quarterbacks will rotate through. It's too early on right now to get into any of that. You know, those guys will get their fair share of reps, and we'll create some competition.
Is he a guy that kind of has the it factor that you see in a major 5-star recruit?
You know, that it factor thing, you know, I surely think it's there. I think, you know, all of our quarterbacks have certain traits that make them special, and you know, after 2 practices, what is that it? I think we need more time to start high praise on any of them, and you know, over-evaluating on just a small sample size.
As a coach, is it nice having a young group of quarterbacks, Coach, that you can help mold, and a talented group? I mean, would you, obviously I'm sure you'd prefer to have a guy that's the Heisman Trophy winner coming back or something like that, but is it nice having a young group of talented guys like this?
You know, it's kind of a fresh start for Justin and I. Matt and Chug have been in the system longer, so it's still a lot of youth. There's a lot of inexperience there. And it's neither good nor bad. It's just what it is. If you have an older guy in the room, sometimes that helps with experience and just learning the ropes. But it's neither good nor bad. It's just what it is.
A lot of people on the outside have assumed that Justin Fields is going to be the starter, but Coach Day shot that down. He said it's going to be a battle. Just if you could speak more about that, about the battle to be the starting quarterback.
Well, anytime you're able to create competition, it raises the level of play. And I think it simply is you know, simple as that. You know, we're just trying to create competition and rise the level of performance. And as the saying goes, iron sharpens iron.
Mike, what's the most important thing a quarterback has to show you? Obviously, leadership is part of it, but what is it he has to do to step us, you know, away from the other 3 this spring?
Well, I think the big thing that you're looking for is leadership. You know, that's a really big focus. How the team responds to that individual, their presence, their leadership, being able to be vocal at times, and then it's really performance, it's productivity. Is that's what you're looking at. You also have to secure the football, and along you know those lines, there's a lot of things that factor into it. A lot of things like knowing pass protections, knowing when to get in and out of plays, knowing when to throw the ball away. All of those things that encompass good, sound football and helping your team win football games, all of those things factor into it.
Can a guy truly be the leader though until he's the guy? I mean, you know, is it tough for a guy who's competing for a job to also show leadership when the other guy's trying to do the exact same thing? If you follow my drift there, until you're sort of ordained as the guy.
I think there's different levels of it, and I certainly think that playing and being the guy and being a proven productive player carries a lot of street credit. There's no question about it. But at the same time, you still can be a good leader. The backup quarterback can be a very good leader. The third-string quarterback can be a very good leader. How they work in the weight room, how they handle their academics, how they handle their social life, all of those things fall into leadership. So it doesn't limit you, so to speak, in what you can be and how big of a leader you can be. You can coach up younger guys, more inexperienced guys. All of those things are strong leadership qualities that we look for.
Mike, without giving out too much away, what are you guys really tweaking this spring as far as the offense? As you mentioned last month, you guys don't really need to reinvent the wheel, but what are some tweaks you guys are making?
You know, even if we were tweaking, even if there were some nuances, I really wouldn't lead on to that because it's an irrelevant kind of topic that really doesn't help us win football games. So the basics of this offense, springtime is a great time to get back to the fundamentals of your offense, your base concepts, and those are the concepts that we're focusing on.
Hey, Mike, there's been a lot of transition here. Head coach, one of the most productive quarterbacks in program history, new offensive staff members, new defensive staff members. I'm wondering, when you talk about a new quarterback and getting everything on, is there any truth to the idea of make the changes as soon as possible so people can get acclimated to them? I'm talking about like Justin Fields, and like, do you buy into that at all, or is that just irrelevant?
What we're trying to do is make sure that we create the best competition that we can and try to produce the best offense we can. and that is develop guys. And so right now what we want to try to do is make sure that those guys are getting the reps that they need in the film room, on the practice field, and that's what's in our best interest as a team right now, is just to get those guys better.
One change we've seen, or at least a little, y'all are practicing a little bit, is quarterback under center, which was kind of taboo here the last 7 years and stuff. But what does that bring, do you think, to the attack?
Well, I think from just an obvious broad stroke element, it allows the tailback to get downhill a little bit more, and then you're trying to complement those runs with your play action. And anytime you're able to create longer conflict for the defense, longer time frame, meaning an under center, you take the snap, you fake it to the tailback. There's a little bit difference of a matter of time that goes on to that than when you're in the gun. So you're able to get more suck out of the defense at times on your deep play action that complements those particular runs.
And obviously you and Coach Day, y'all saw that as maybe something that was missing offensively from this group? I mean,
well, I don't know about missing. I just know that it's very effective when executed well.
Yeah. Mike, I know it might take quite some time before you guys are ready to make a decision with that battle, but for a quarterback's coach, or for the head coach or whatever, how long until you think you have a good grasp on what your personnel is?
Overall
to
personnel,
just like to get to know the guys, the strengths and weakness.
I don't know. I don't think we have a definite timeline to say, hey, it's got to be done by practice 4 or it's got to be done by practice 5. I think as you go through spring, you make those decisions, and whenever that time is, that's what it'll end up being.
But not in terms of, I'm not asking you to predict a decision, but just like until you can sit there and say, I know what Matthew does very well, I know what Justin does very well. And that seems like a process that could take time. But
usually, the more you get into some real live scrimmages, that sort of thing will unfold itself.
Okay.
How's the coaching staff meshing as far as the offensive coaching staff specifically with you coming in? Just how do you feel like that?
Well, I'm the only new guy, so hopefully it's going good. But I really enjoy being around the guys. We have a lot of experts on offensive football and a lot of great recruiters. And I'm learning a lot, and those guys have been great to me, and it's fun being in that room.
Do you plan on coaching from the box during games this fall?
We really haven't talked about where the location will be, so I've done both.
You mentioned learning the offense. Do you go home and continue to learn there? Like, do you take your work home with you right now?
Yeah, I think it's always on your mind. It's always something when you have some downtime, or you're stopped at a stoplight, you're thinking about a play call, or how we attack a particular style of defense. But that's happened the whole time, and that's kind of my excuse when my wife tells me something and I don't hear. I just blame it on that. So I've been milking that thing for about 21 years.
I just been asked this question over there now, but is there a method to how you guys are splitting the reps as far as first trainers?
Not really. We just want to make sure that we're mixing it and that sort of thing, the reps, and everybody's going to get a fair shake at it, and it'll sort itself out.
Mike, I'm not asking for a game plan right now, but just generally, how would you expect that Justin's running ability will factor into what you guys want to do offensively?
Well, I think that's a different element that makes it very hard to defend any spread offense that has the ability to have an athletic quarterback. Obviously, you have to account for that in the run game. So how much of that, how little of that, I think those decisions will be made later down the road, and what frequency, those decisions will be made at a later time. Right now, I can't really speak to exactly what that'll be right now.
Mike, we know that there's the quarterback battle between Matt and Justin, but what have you seen from the guys behind them? I know that quarterback depth is one of the things that Ryan has kind of harped on. Just what have you seen?
Well, I think an interesting thing about those young men is they're fierce competitors. That whole room, they're very competitive. They all want to be the guy. It's a very important position. Being the starting quarterback at Ohio State, that's a big deal. And so to be so young in that room, but also to have the level of maturity that they have, and also they're great competitors, but they're also great teammates. And I think they have the right perspective early on what it takes, and it makes being in that room an awful lot of fun and enjoyable. So there's a lot of learning that has to happen. There's a lot of development that has to happen, and reps and time will take care of that. But so far, it's been a fantastic room from just a camaraderie standpoint, from a team brotherhood standpoint.